This is David Rosen at Social Media Week, and I am privileged to be sitting here with Andrew Grill, who's the CEO of Kred. And give us a little bit of a summary for people who aren't familiar with Kred about what it is and how it works.
Yeah, Kred's brand new, so you probably haven't heard of it. Our real premise is we've had access to Twitter Firehose since 2008, so we've got about 70 billion tweets in our database, and I was saying to David before, once you have that raw material to play with, you can do some really smart things around influence. One of the key differentiators is we have a two-part score. So we have influence and we have outreach. Influence is based on a score of what others do because of you, and the outreach, especially for PR firms, is really interesting. It's about your generosity. So someone with a high outreach score is more likely to retweet your content, follow you, share links. So with PR firms I deal with, I sometimes cover up the influence score and say, actually look for someone who has a very high outreach score. They're probably going to be more relevant for you as a brand. The second thing we do is we focus very heavily on communities. So if you go to kred.com/a Twitter username, it'll actually show you the top 3 or 10 communities that you actually influence. So you can straight away find out whether this person really has some influence in communities that are of interest. And the third real thing that is interesting is we have an activity statement, so you can go and see every single tweet that contributed to your Kred score, and you can see the raw scores. So I tweeted David, I got 10 points for that. He tweeted me, I got 10 points. We're very transparent because we want people to really understand how the score comes about, so they trust it and they use it.
So there's no doubt, Andrew, that the data is incredibly valuable to marketers. What is Kred's business model in terms of how are you monetizing it?
So it's free to use to look at your Kred score, and where we start to charge is when we build communities. So we've got some clients who actually want to have a very specific niche community built. We've got a fashion client who wants to find fashion influencers in London, but it's not just anyone that talks about fashion. It's actually they want this aspirational brand, but not that aspirational brand. So we actually work very hard to craft communities. Within there, we can then run the Kred engine across that and find key influencers within that particular community or that particular location. So we like to say we find the local rock stars of influence in that sort of area. The second model that we are using is API access. We're looking at a lot of distribution deals where people just want the Kred badge. We give that away for free. And then when people want more details, we call that credentials. So it's the communities, the hashtags, the links they use, those sort of things. That's where we can actually have that distributed through an API model.
And explain, Andrew, if you can, Kred has 2 different scores. And just looking at your business card here, you have an influence score of 765 and an outreach level of 7. And how does that work? How should people interpret it?
Well, actually, my card's already out of date. My Kred score is now 766. That's actually normalized out of 1,000, and we've done some analysis. Someone with a score of over 800 is within a group of only 0.1% of people. So you have to try really hard to get a high Kred score by having really strong influence and outreach. We've got actually on the kred.com/rules, we actually show the curves we use. So that really is a measure of my overall influence. You know, things that I do, and people that do things because of what I do and how I have influence in a certain community. The outreach is about this generosity level, so the higher the score, and by the way, the outreach never goes backwards, that's more generous. So with a score of 7, I'm fairly generous. I think the top generous people on our site have a score of about 10. So you want the 10 people in your community, in your location, that are going to talk about your product or service or brand.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Andrew, for taking the time to talk with me. And on behalf of the industry, most of which probably doesn't recognize it yet, thanks for helping to take communications into the scientific age.
We'd love to help. We'd love to continue helping. Thanks, David.
Thanks.